it's Hollie here for PlayStation Access. I'm with George from Endreams.
Hello.
Rob is inside the VR headset.
Hello.
And we are playing
The
Assembly.
That's right. So The Assembly is our interactive story in first-person VR. It's coming out on October the 13th for the very first day of PlayStation VR, and we're very, very excited today to be able to show it off to you.
Now, Rob is going through this.
Mum?
He's concentrating. This is very nice to see.
I've still not got over the fact that you can lean.
So what you're
Leaning
seeing,
is my favourite.
what you're seeing right now is Rob inhabiting the skin, you might say, of Madeleine Stone. Madeleine Stone is a famed neurologist, some might say infamous neurologist, given the context of the game, who has been inducted by, or you might say abducted by, the Assembly. The Assembly is a clandestine collective of scientists, academics and engineers who are all about discovery for the sake of discovery and progress for the sake of progress. However, they're not very interested in society's morals. They're even less interested in government oversight, and so they have built for themselves a big scientific bunker deep beneath the desert somewhere in which they can conduct their morally dubious or morally troubling experiments away from the world's prying eyes.
And nothing will go wrong.
Look how close you can lean into these scans.
Can you read? I know it sounds daft, Rob, but like,
Yes,
can you read it?
I can actually read it.
Because that just sounds like such a silly thing to say, but I guess it's something I've never thought about.
You know, I can read scans and words in front of me on the desk by leaning into them.
We're very, very pleased
amazing.
that we've managed to get text so legible in the game. You'll see throughout the course of the game clues for various different puzzles or ways to access areas you might not otherwise have been able to access are written all around, so getting text nice and crisp was essential for us. Also, one of the ways that we handle navigation in the game, because you'll be exploring a lot of various different corridors, rather than having a mini-map or on a HUD as you would in a traditional video game, we realised what worked best was, just like in the real world, having a map of where you are. You know, one of those "you are here" maps.
Yeah.
So that when you're going around a level and stuff, you'll see one of these maps on the wall and you'll be able to orientate yourself just as if you would do as if you were real life, because virtual reality is very similar to reality.
It's in the name.
Yeah, it's in the name. So what you're seeing here is Madeleine being taken down the bunker where she will begin her induction process. Some of these offer a little glimpse, a little insight as to some of the stuff that you'll see later on in the game.
It's full of bad things.
Well,
Maybe
they're
you've got
bad.
morals or not.
Yes, that's true. But Madeleine is discovering the Assembly for the very first time. So you might think that she's a cipher for the player. But she has her own story arc and her own revelations that become apparent over the course of the game.
So this is how you can move forward. You've got two options, haven't you, George? You can move forward with the left stick, traditionally.
Yeah, that's
or
right.
You can blink by holding down L2, and you look around to aim, and then you press R2 to move to that position.
I think another developer refers to this as comfort mode, because maybe if you're quite new to VR, it might be a little bit more comfortable for you to do the blink.
And then you can rotate by pushing the right stick in the direction you want to go in. So I can do like a 180, or I can go 90 degrees to the left.
Yeah, so we didn't want to limit the way that people could play the game. Some people are going to be very, very familiar with VR. Some people are going to be very VR novices. I assume most people are going to be VR novices. So we wanted to make sure that we had control options to suit all, gamers of all backgrounds and all familiarities. So we have comfort mode, which will be movement on the triggers, where you project yourself into the environment with this avatar by holding down the left trigger, and then zooming to that position by holding down the right trigger. Alternatively, if you want to just be able to move forwards and backwards and then strafe left and right, you can do that on the left stick just fine. Right stick, as just described, that allows you to do snap rotation. Snap rotation, all you do is you push it in the direction you want to look, let it return to the center position, and that's the direction you'll face. It becomes very, very intuitive, very, very quickly. If you really want super granular movement, you can play it just like you would a first person shooter.
Cool.
with standard controls on the left and right analog stick. We still allow you to use blink, because blink does allow you to cover big distances very quickly. Also, you'll notice that the avatar changes position slightly, changes how it looks, and that will give you a clue as to how you can interact with several of the objects in the environment.
So administer a new sedative.
And so what you're seeing here is Chavez. Chavez is our one of the characters that you'll be spending, or rather hearing a lot about throughout the course of the game. She has her own stake in the events that unfold over the course of the game.
Noted.
So what we'll be doing, what you'll see now, is picking up the story with the second protagonist of the game, Cal, who is a virologist, Cal Pearson. He is a veteran of the Assembly for some years. He joined the Assembly because his research in the outside world had hit an impasse through which he couldn't pass without drawing upon the Assembly's resources and moral flexibility. But he's now in the position where he is of the opinion, or at least he quickly comes to the opinion, that his research isn't necessarily being used for the most altruistic benefit of humankind possible. And so he starts looking for a way out. But even though it's very tough to join the Assembly, it's even tougher to leave.
You never get to leave. So, Rob, when you're playing now, which kind of control scheme have you found that you sort of gelled with?
Well, kind of both, really. Like in this kind of instance, I'm just going to actually, sorry, I'm going to pick up this because look, what you guys still have not got over this novelty of being able to pick up items and look at them really closely.
So that's actually an AR device. So we have AR in our VR. It allows for two slightly different play styles. So Madeline doesn't have this. So the way that she interacts with the world is slightly different to the way that Cal will interact with the world. For example, when you're playing as Cal, if you ever want to see any of his objectives, you can just push the square button, and then that will bring up a screen showing more or less, I guess, like an Evernote to-do list of
Dr. Pearson speaking.
of what you need to do. Whereas Cal's levels they're based around subterfuge, they're based around investigation, there are some kind of traditional adventure game elements, despite the fact that this is very much an interactive story.
Yeah.
Whereas with Madeline's levels, Madeline is overcoming a series of trials, so she is put in these environments where the Assembly is testing her. And for example, in one of them, there's a murder mystery, a bit like Cluedo, or Clue, if you're American, which she has to solve. So these are much more contrived, and there's no need for her to have an AR device in those scenarios. Whereas Cal, it's much more useful to know exactly where you're meant to be going next. And as you can see, the avatar changes.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is that it can and can't do.
I guess there was something over there we could interact with, right? And that's why he was leaning forward.
That's right.
Cool.
So in this particular level, this is where Cal soon discovers that the research that he had put to bed and thought would never ever trouble the real world has actually been reopened. And he takes this as a personal slight to a certain degree, but also, Cal's a good guy. He didn't join the Assembly for glory or for riches. He joined it because he wanted to make a difference. And if that difference is could possibly result in some terrible things happening in the outside world, he takes it upon himself to stop it. But at great personal danger to himself, Cal's journey over the course of the game is fraught with peril and subterfuge.
Rob, you're pretty much a virologist now.
I know.
Thanks,
I'm Dr. Pearson.
You're Dr. Pearson. Although it'd be great if you could take your sandwich out of the virology lab fridge.
That's not my sandwich.
I don't want to hear it. Don't want your excuses, Rob. This is virology. This is serious business.
It's true. You shouldn't really be leaving your lunch.
Talking about the movement again, I feel like the best way to do it is to use a mix of, like being able to interact with things like this, like the microscope there. I can just go to it now. and
you're
be
just
there. And then if I just want to kind of adjust my position, I can just move my head to control the camera. I can move the left stick to just move yourself in a traditional way.
I guess you've got the option, right? Because if you
Yeah.
just want to go for like the full immersive experience, you just wouldn't use the blink, and you could just be like, right, I'm going to do this as though I was actually there.
Well, absolutely.
Through
And
these.
because the game has multiple endings, we're really, really hoping that people will play through it more than once. And
We
you
do
might
love a multiple ending.
Well-
We do love a multiple ending.
And some of the endings are very different. I mean, certainly the lines of VO that we have at the end are definitely worth hearing more than once.
I've never seen anything like this in VR before. Looking through a microscope at a piece of, well, whatever this is, red blood cells.
It's that's the Cassius. It's a Cassius virus, which will come to trouble you again further on.
Spoilers!
Further on in the game.
It's evil.
But yes, you know what we've found. Certainly, what I've found is when I first started playing this many moons ago, I was using the most comfortable control scheme possible. By the time now I'm whizzing through with dual analog controls and having no problem at all, and because I know where certain things are, interactive stories become substantially more revealed the second time you play them.
Yeah.
It allows you to get to places slightly quicker.
I still love that you're Dr. Pearson in this, Rob.
I think we even have, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler, we have an Archer line of dialogue, I think, still on that sandwich on that desk. So for fans of Archer, click on that sandwich.
Is it about ants?
I'm not going to
Is
say...
this how we get ants?
I'm not
This
saying
is
it's-
how we get ants.
I'm not saying it's not about ants.
This is how we get ants.
Found his keys.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look at the keys for a bit because keys. Oh,
You don't need to explain yourself, Rob. You just have fun.
I will.
We're really, really pleased with how we've managed to get very, very realistic looking graphics. In the game, we've spent a lot of time on filling out our environments with lots and lots of detail. Lots and lots of detail on our textures. So yes, please do lean into stuff, check it out. One of my favorite things to do is there's a cupboard in this room where you can open the door, stick your head in, and you can see that the coffee cups are dirty.
I'm going to do that right now.
And you've never been able to do that in a video game before.
Yeah, it's just really surreal because it sounds so daft. And when you see Rob do it, you're like, okay. But the fact that you can do this.
Oh, yeah.
If you get it...
I've ruined Nathan's lovely composed shot here, but I can see that.
The idea of leaning into something
I
is
know,
it's just it's
The level of immersion it gives you is just incredible. I've got to answer the phone. The phone's ringing.
Now you know why you had to see
And there you go. You can just blink straight across the room. There are some... Certainly in one... we do make use of VR beyond what you're seeing here as well. Some of the environments have dramatic drops that really make use of almost a sense of vertigo, or at least a fear of heights. I really like it. I suffer from heights so bad that when I went up the Sears Tower, I was trying desperately not to go too far.
we've
too
seen
close
this
to the edge.
before though. We have the VR Worlds, the Deep, where you're swimming with sharks. There's quite a few people who have a fear of deep sea
Oh,
and
man.
have struggled with that one as well.
It wasn't the deep sea that scared me about the deep. I have to tell you.
Was it the shark?
Have you got a fear of sharks?
I mean, I think it's a bit bizarre if you don't have a fear of sharks. So what you're seeing here, this is a secret room that you need a secret access code to get to. So,
Rob's nailed it.
so I hope you've been paying attention onto how you get into this room. Now, into this room we have.
It was the winning baseball scores.
Spoilers, Rob.
So that in this is a little nugget of information that is the only place in the game where you will be able to find this out. And so this is a nice little tell for people who are watching on PlayStation Access, and it reveals a little bit of motivation behind the director. The director is the director of the assembly.
I love that Rob just had to lean in to read it. What's that feel like, Rob? That sounds so daft because
It
once I read
feels-
something, it comes up on the screen,
Well,
doesn't it?
yeah, it's a
pop-up.
weird thing, isn't it? But it just feels like I'm in front of a computer looking into it so I can read it.
That's nice.
It just
it sounds
feels
daft. That's nuts.
so weirdly natural. It doesn't... This is the thing that VR does so well. It kind of removes the barrier that exists between you and a game. It doesn't feel like I'm in a game, it just feels like I'm reading a computer screen. It's great. So there, I've conquered the secret room.
You're a hero, Rob.
And then there is one last thing that Rob needs to do in this level, which is get through that grey door on the left there to exit, and that will allow him to progress to the game. And so what you've seen here is just the setup for both characters.
Cool.
Madeline now has been inducted to the assembly. She has realised that perhaps it's not all that it's set out to be. It's not all that it's making itself out to be, and that perhaps it's got a few secrets of its own that she needs to get to grips with. And you've also understood Cal's motivation to perhaps go off track a little bit, not necessarily be the fantastically subservient employee that he's been up until this point, and do a little bit of his own digging. And that is the setup. Where it takes them, how their paths collide, how their views on the assembly shift and change, that is to be revealed over the course of the game.
It really feels unique compared to anything else I've played in VR so far. Like, it's as immersive, but playing like a narrative adventure like this just feels really exciting.
I think a lot of people have been waiting to see something like this as well. I think a lot of people will be really excited to see like what feels like that full adventure story game in VR.
Well, one of the things we've noticed with VR is that there's this emotional component with it that just kind of gets switched on by being in VR. For some reason, the sense of presence that you have means that you relate to characters and situations in a much more naturalistic, much more human way than you would on a flat screen game. And this allows us to tell the story in a slightly more nuanced way than might have been possible. You know, we don't necessarily have to beat people around the head with the story beats, and we certainly don't have. We can be a lot more subtle about telling people about individual characters within the game's relationship with each other.
Yes.
I don't want to go into too much detail about that, because there are some really, really great relationships that get explored throughout the course of the assembly. I mean, one of the things we wanted to do with the assembly is we know that we're not the first game to have been set in a secret underground bunker. However,
Are you sure? Not even a film?
You know, I don't know about if you've heard of this small little movie franchise, James Bond, but no. But what we really wanted to do is we wanted to take a kind of a deconstructionist approach and see, okay, so how would this work in real life? What would the impact of working in a secret underground bunker be on the relationships between the people who work there, people who work there and their families who are on the outside? How much can they tell them? How much can't they tell them? What are the hiring practices if you're dealing with all this privileged information and you then, go off base? What are the disciplinary measures? But we're not making like HR sim underground bunker.
That also sounds good though. Maybe that's your next game.
You should probably stop me playing before I spoil it for everyone.
I would. You know what? There is quite an impressive start to Madeline's first trial, so you might as well play up till that.
Look, Rob, well done.
Shiny floor.
And we've lost Rob to the shiny floor.
This is very atmospheric now.
No time like the present.
What can you hear, Rob?
Excellent. Now proceed.
Is it just you?
I have someone speaking in my ear.
We welcome you to our facility.
I'm being welcomed to the facility.
Something more welcoming than being kidnapped.
A standard
Do you feel welcome, Rob?
No, they're talking about kidnap.
very sensitive and
Okay.
So what if I decide I don't want your job? Are you going
One
to
of the
pay
thve
what
also done is we've tried to, because with VR we can't tell the story with cutscenes.
Yeah.
So our art guys and girls have been very, very good at being able to encourage players to look in a particular place at a particular time. So we're that kind of cinematic composition. We're trying to allow that to be interactive while still powerful enough that we get across our story beats, our essential story beats, so to speak.
It's so different, right, for making a game in VR. Like, not
Wow.
every game's just going to
The
work.
steam that's coming through here looks like it's going right into my face right now. Oh,
Yeah, the particle effects
it's amazing.
are something we're really proud of too. Right at the very start, when you saw them enter the bunker, you'll see in lots of sand particles just floating around you. And the first time I saw them, the first time they went into the game, it was
Oh.
and this is just
Look at
one of
this
the areas
space.
where heights really
Oh.
comes into it.
I
Wow.
must say, I was expecting something more medical.
Everyone feels comfortable with
Your
heights.
medical credentials aren't
So what I would suggest is
We need to
if you
understand
start
who
this trial, but
Madeline's
then
son
don't
is.
stop it. No, sorry, no,
She
start
has
this trial,
what
but
it
then
takes to
stop it
have
rather
assembly
by
achieve its
mistake.
goals.
Just to see,
And those goals would be
a little taste
when
of
you're
what the
ready,
Madeline's
pull the
trials
reset
look like.
lever on the right
Although
to
each
begin
trial is
trial.
very, very different. Each trial is testing something different about Madeline's personality,
Oh.
Okay.
Ooh.
and it
Use
gets
the
a
joystick in
lot
front of you
more,
to
a
navigate the
lot
yellow
more
cube to its
complex
marked
from
goal.
there.
Oh, amazing.
is that all?
Right.
Don't
Thank you.
test my brain power, please. Stop the
No.
video now.
We're not going to. We are actually going to stop this video now. George, thank you so much for taking us through. Rob, well, I don't think Rob is going to stop playing. I think he's just going to carry on because he's very lucky. But thank you so much for joining us. Rob, I hope you've enjoyed the assembly.
It's
You
been
guys,
fantastic.
thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to stay tuned for YouTube channel. There's loads more coming up and loads more VR as well.